Well, hello again, everyone. This is a backwards glance, and this is part two of our segment for October 22nd. Let me tell you why we have a part two. YouTube restricts a third YouTube channel to a 15-minute time limit. So today's stories means two segments on the same day. So let's get into it. Back in the day before Wendy and I were married, and yes, she knows these stories, so I'm not going to be in trouble when I finish telling this one. Back in the day, I dated this young lady from Tucson, and it just so happened she was from a very famous in that area sporting family. These people were all great athletes. She had a brother who was a Hall of Fame baseball member. He was in the Hall of Fame for catching 2 no-hitters. His name was Ron Hesse. She was an up-and-coming Arizona tennis player for a couple years, and then left the team for various and sundry reasons. Had a brother also, a younger brother, who was a champion racquetball player in the city and a state champion multiple times over. Her father was also a AAA baseball player within the minor leagues for the New York Yankees. So obviously a very athletic, sports-minded family. One of the things that I remember the most about this experience was going to Atlanta. Her brother became a coach for the Colorado Rockies. So the fledgling Rockies were coached by Don Baylor, another very famous baseball athlete, a guy who holds the record for getting hit by the most baseballs in his career. Now, Ronnie was a great guy, and he was a bench coach for the Rockies. So we made our way to Atlanta to watch the Braves in their peak days play the new franchise, the Rockies. We met Ronnie at the hotel and visited with him for a few minutes, and he knew we had talked before that I was a big baseball fan and a Reds fan and all this stuff, but he was just very generous with his time and a really good guy. And as we had dinner, actually we were having lunch before that evening's game, he said, "We're going to face Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine this week. I'm not sure we'll score a run." And he was kind of serious about that. It was a very young team. And a strange thing happened as we were leaving. One of his players was coming in from across the street, headed to the elevator, and we stopped and held the elevator for him. That was Vinny Castillo. And Vinny went on and became a very highly paid and successful player. But back in those days, Vinny, I think, was a third baseman for the Rockies. And the reason he was outside the hotel is he had gone across the street to get his lunch from McDonald's. It just struck me as so odd, a major league player with road money, travel money and contract money. He took the time to save his money and eat at McDonald's. Well, we went through that experience, and they really did get waxed pretty hard. So after we wrapped up that trip, we decided to try and visit the family in Tucson early enough to catch a Rockies home game. They played in the old Denver Broncos stadium, and in that first year. So we made that commitment, and he was very happy to have us out and host us on that trip. So we go over, and Ronnie has gone to the park. We get our instructions, we get our tickets, and we go. And we make our way through the stands, and late in the year, they're pretty terrible. I think they won like 58 games or something like that. And we're sitting with the other wives of players. It was just family section. It was really cool for me, being a longtime baseball fan and just loving the sport and being in this setting. It was just crazy to me, and I was trying to soak it all in. And we happened to sit next to manager Don Baylor's wife. Unbelievably wonderful person, generous and thoughtful, and not just passing time, but interested in what was going on and the people around her. So the game plays, and I'm not sure who the game was against. It seems like maybe the Mets, but we finish and walk outside with her dad, and he says, "Ronnie has asked me to bring you down to the clubhouse. We want to get you down and let you see the kind of inside look at the team." And I'm like, "That's outstanding. Thank you all." So my girlfriend and her mother go to the car. They go and wait for everyone in the car. And we make our way through the stadium. And her father knew the way. He'd been there many times. So as we walk up, Ronnie greets us, and we don't go in depth in the clubhouse. We walk in, we look around, we see a good view of the clubhouse and what it's really like. There's the training table. People have worked on as hard as they could, eating after the game, and most everyone is gone. Few players milling around, but most everyone has departed. We step back outside the door just to visit, and Ronnie is standing there. Coach Baylor, manager Baylor, comes by, shakes hands. He's very generous with his time. We're ready to break up and all head home. And Ronnie says, I have my car, but if you don't mind, will you take my bag? Dad and I are going to walk down, and I'm going to pick up some merchandise that I have for him. Will you take it back to your car and just take it home with you? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I say, where do I go? And he goes, okay, take this door here, and it goes out of the player's cage. There's a wire cage around the exit, and there's usually a security guard at the end. And the fans can't get past the end. It's the player parking lot where we had parked. You might have an idea of what's going on here, but maybe you don't. So we go, we split up, and I go down the hall. I go through this exit door and up a little flight of stairs, and I open another door, and there I am. I'm outside, and there's the cage. It's got fans still. There are fans everywhere. They're just hanging on, waiting for one more sighting of a player or a coach or a manager. And I exit with a Rockies jersey. Now I've got on a dress shirt, and kind of a sweatshirt, I think it was. And I have the Colorado Rockies players bag because the managers and coaches use the same bag. And as I'm walking through, the chorus of sign this autograph, give me an autograph, sign my baseball, and it's just unbelievable. And I am stunned. I've never experienced that kind of thing. I don't think I've ever been asked for an autograph in my life. And as I'm walking out, I don't know why, but my mind could not pass on the opportunity to enjoy this. So I stopped, and I'm looking around, and I see this kid, this young kid over there with obviously family members, and there are little portals cut in the cage for people to stick baseballs or cards through. Well, I don't know why, but I couldn't stop myself. This kid is screaming, sign my baseball, sign my baseball, sign my baseball. So I signed his baseball. I walk over, I put my bag down. Well, it was Ronnie's bag. I put it down. I take his baseball. He sticks a felt tip pen through, or whatever, Sharpie maybe. And I sign the baseball. And I sign it, Sid Mickle. And I think I said, best wishes, Sid Mickle. And I mean, it's a mess. I don't even know how to do this. It's an absolute disaster. And I hand it back to this kid with the pen. And it's just now the guilt is starting to flow. And I'm like, oh, what did I just done? I pick up my bag. I can't fix it now. I'm too deep. And I proceed to walk. And the security guard says hello. And I walk out and get in the car. So we go home, and Ronnie is there. He's bigger than life because he really was an incredible, great athlete. Played with the A's, played with the White Sox, played with the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians, and now with the Rockies. As I said, a Hall of Famer by name because he caught 2 perfect games, not just no-hitters. I failed to mention that. 2 perfect games in MLB. And his equipment and the game ball and all the stuff is there. Well, he gets home, and we're just talking about it, and he says, did you have any trouble getting out? And I tell him, no, there were an awful lot of fans there, and I had this big smile on my face. And he looks at me and goes, what did you do? And I'm like, I signed the kid's baseball, man. I'm sorry. He erupts into this unbelievable laughter, and he is having the greatest time with this. So forever, for the longest period of time, every time I would see him, Ronnie would say, hey, will you sign my baseball? Because he knows that there's some poor kid, probably in a Denver suburb, who sits around with this baseball from a Rockies game. And he looks at it and he goes, who's Sid Mickle? And why did he sign my baseball? Who was that guy? I wish I could find him and just apologize to him, but hey, It was just at the moment something I couldn't stop, something I couldn't prevent myself from doing. So young man, maybe you'll see this video and I'll just apologize for ruining your baseball with my scratchy signature. And maybe one of these days we can figure out how to get you a real athlete, a celebrity athlete's baseball signature. Don't hate me. It was just spur of the moment. I couldn't stop myself. All right, that's part 2 of today. And like I said earlier at the end of the first video, we're going to come back next week and we're going to talk about one of the really, truly famous people I didn't actually shake hands with or meet face to face. I was with on an airplane, and that was former President George Herbert Walker Bush. Yes, the president had left office, and for some reason, I don't know the circumstances, he was traveling with a Secret Service entourage from Houston to Atlanta on a normal Delta flight. Yep, it's the honest truth. I have witnesses. I was traveling with someone else I worked with. So we'll come back and give you the details of that story because it's pretty funny and it's pretty interesting. And I think I've seen 2 presidents in my life. For some bizarre reason, I crossed paths in some meeting function. I believe it was Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton was speaking at a function that we were attending another meeting and crossed paths with his group. Just happened to catch a glimpse of his Secret Service group moving him away. So there it is, 2 presidents and 1 forged baseball in my career of phony signings. We'll be back soon and we'll give you the details of that story and maybe have time to throw in another one. But as I always say, take care of yourself. Go out and have some fun with your friends and your family. It will definitely be the best part of your week. And we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.